Alright, what is going on, guys? My name is Leon Master, and welcome back to another Overwatch video. And boys, day 2, the first weekend of the Overwatch League, is finally over. Man, what an interesting weekend. This was honestly one of the best days, I feel like, or weekends the Overwatch League's been through. Like, this was way better than Season two's opening, or like games in general. Season 1, it's very hard to remember what happened in Season 1, but I feel like just Season 3 has just been really good so far for the start. Even the viewership on YouTube's honestly doing decently well than I thought it was going to do. I thought it was going to go down a lot, but it honestly was pretty even, around like 70k plus, which I expected the numbers to be around there. But all around, a lot of interesting things that second day of the Overwatch League. Obviously, we had London Spitfire versus the Paris Eternal. London Spitfire kind of looked like the team we thought they were going to look like. Paris Eternal still looked really good for what they had. And then we saw the new Boston squad, which honestly was expected how they looked. But then again, they went against the NYXL, which is very hard to compete against. And then we had LA Valiant versus the Vancouver Titans. And even though LA Valiant lost, I still think they looked really good against the Vancouver Titans, especially how good Titans has been recently. Then on to the most exciting match next to the LA Valiant Vancouver match was the San Francisco Shock versus the Dallas Fuel. Now, I think everyone knew, even Fuel fans like myself, we were just going to get stomped by it. We already accepted the loss. Dallas Fuel genuinely looked like a really good team against the Shock, especially on Oasis and even Horizon. Not so much on Havana, but like all the other maps around it, even Eichenwald a little bit. I think Dallas Fuel looked way better than they did against LA Valiant, and there's a lot of potential for Dallas right now. Anyways, let's go and talk about the first game that happened. Paris Eternal versus the London Spitfire. Honestly, London got rolled on this match. There was nothing much to really say about it. Obviously, players like Bernard and Glister still did the good things they did, but I gotta say, Bernard was not as good as he was in this previous match against NYXL, but Bernard was still good, and so was Glister. Babel was not as good as usual, but like, I think London Spitfire, currently from that game, they look like the team everyone expected them to look like. But if they perform like they did against the NYXL and maybe a little bit better, this team could be very good. Also, they're new players, stage nerves. We always got to keep that in mind. I don't think they're awful just yet. The same thing goes with Boston Uprising. We only see them right now. A lot of new players, stage nerves, and they also went against the NYXL, so there's a lot of pressure there. And onto the Paris Eternal side, I think they are still looking good, especially in the situation they're in. Obviously, they don't have Smex right now and Hanbin, and the next games they will be playing will have Hanbin in it, which is going to be very exciting to see how they'll play around it. But all around, I definitely think the Paris Eternal, the huge reason why they're looking so good and coordinated right now is definitely the coaching staff. I feel like people are ignoring that right now because of how good XD has been and FD God. And FD God definitely needs a lot more recognition right now because FD God was some of the main reasons why XD kind of popped off, and then so has Ben Best. FD God needs a lot of recognition right now. He's very good so far when it comes to the main sports, especially with the ones we've seen recently. But all around, it was definitely a roll for the Paris Eternal. London Spitfire almost had no fights. It felt like, obviously, the first map was pretty alright for them, but Paris Eternal just kind of rolled. Then on to the next match I was honestly excited for was the Boston Uprising versus the NYXL. I was very excited to see how this new Boston team would turn out and see if Mufin would show up or Brucin, and that was the absolute opposite, and it was Axiom and Fusions, which I understood why they run it. I thought it was going to be like a map one thing, kind of like Dallas and other teams kind of do, but they kept it throughout the entire match, which I honestly wasn't a fan of. And I definitely got to say, for some positive things for the Boston Uprising, there was definitely some bright spots on this team. Like, Axiom looked pretty decent every now and then. Hopefully he stays as a starter more. I definitely think they should work with him. Also, Meowbong still looked pretty good, definitely needs time to develop. Obviously it was the first game against the NYXL, so it's very hard for him to show off. And Munchkin was definitely the weakest part of the team, I would say, and also a huge bright spot on the team as well. The obvious one is Color Hex. He was definitely the one also making fights win for the Boston Uprising, but then again didn't really come out for the Color Hex at the end of the day. But Color Hex all around, still a bright spot in the Boston. Munchkin, not so much. I expected Munchkin not to do the best, but he did worse than I expected, which honestly is kind of shocking. But the tank situation for the Boston Uprising, hopefully they figure it out, because I definitely think when it comes to Diva, I like to see Mufin being played right now, but then again, I honestly have no clue how the two-way contracts work right now, because obviously from previous things, it was 2 games a stage. Now that's kind of gone now with the whole stages. So who knows how the two-way contracts work right now. But yeah, I think this team all around is still, team needs time to develop. They went against a Titan. They went against one of the best teams in the league right now, probably the best, next to Shock, obviously. Who knows how Boston's going to turn out. Then with the LA Valiant versus Vancouver Titans, I do gotta say, obviously, LA Valiant was not as good as they were against the Fuel, but that's a completely different team compared to the Titans. But I think how Valiant adapted to many situations against the Titans and how they looked in general, I definitely think they were pretty good. Now, obviously, a lot of people hate Gig right now, which I don't really see all that just yet. I see a couple of them. I know Gig charges a lot and dies, and then the team fights over. I get that. There's some. But Gig's aggression definitely makes McGravy, KSP, and KSF pop off, even though if Gig dies. Because I definitely think that's one of their plans right now. It's almost like Lucio and Goats, kind of. The Lucio speeds in and then does a boop and then kind of dies, but then again, the whole team wins off of what that Lucio did. It's kind of like how Reinhardt's working for LA Valiant right now. Gig goes in, charges, does some hammer hits, obviously the fire strike, and then dies, but then again, KSP comes in with the headshots on the enemy team. I think that's how their plan is, but definitely Gig could not die all the time, but who knows? I don't know the plans. I'm kind of just analyzing things right now, but I could be wrong. But I gotta say for the Vancouver Titans, Fissure's honestly working out right now, which is surprising. He's playing all the tanks at a high level, which obviously Vancouver kind of needed with the flexibility. Fissure's owning on the Winston, one of my favorite heroes to watch him play. And honestly, he's having a better performance on this team than he has been on the Soul Dynasty so far. Hopefully, no, things him getting burnt out or him when the bench himself happens, because he's definitely in a good spot right now, and I hope he stays like this because he has been owning the Vancouver Titans recently, and I honestly really hope it stays like this. Then to the SF Shock versus the Dallas Fuel match. What a good match. We're obviously going to talk about the Dallas Fuel for a second, and man, the K and Doha, as usual, doing super good. Crimzo looked 10 times better in this match than he did in his first match, and Closer looked as good as well. Then Gamsu and Trill, they worked a lot together. They did a lot of good things together all around. Decay, that man's back is almost broken. Obviously, there's a lot of good things that help Decay, get his kills. There was the one moment he shouldn't have done on Oasis when he was trying to flank on Striker. That's also one of the main reasons why they lost, but he almost did kill Striker. He was on 3 health. But all around, Dallas Fuel is still looking like a decent team right now. And also, there's a thing I want to say to you Fuel fans, just to make you guys a little bit happy here. Apparently, it's rumored right now by Reinforcing the other people behind the scenes that LA Valiant is honestly a top 5 team right now, according to scrims. And I definitely think that's saying something for the Fuel, because they obviously had a good fight against the Valiant and also had a huge fight against the San Francisco Shock on Sunday. But all around, we need to see how Fuel works out. Their things a little bit in the future because they have potential. We saw it on that match. They had definitely a potential of Doha, even Doha playing other heroes like the Junkrat and even Sombra. His May's been alright, not the best, but like it's good. It's definitely the best May they have on their team. And the K's Kree, man, the K's Kree is definitely one of the best Krees right now in the league. Obviously, it's kind of unfair to say that because we haven't seen all the teams yet. So definitely, out of all the Krees we've seen, definitely one of the best though. And Crimson Closer is definitely an underrated support duo in my opinion. I definitely think Closer is not being looked at for all the things he's done. All of his boops are pretty well. His amp timings are great. Obviously, his ult usage is good as usual as well. And on to the SF Shock, they definitely looked very confident and also beatable on that match as well. They had Architect playing the Ana, which at first I was kind of shocked at a little bit, not a lot, because I know Architect's very flexible and he can almost play anything in the game. And I knew something was happening with Architect, maybe a little bit more of a battle Ana or just hitting nice nades. He obviously hit like 10 sleeps or something like that. Then onto the DPS, you had Striker and Sinatra who performed well the entire time, even when Rascal was in, but Striker almost, clutched out so many moments in this match, especially in Horizon, and then obviously clutched out in Oasis as well with the Nano. All around, Striker is a huge part of this team right now, and hopefully we see more of that from Striker because he is just owning right now. All around, this weekend has been fantastic with the Overwatch League. Lots of more to see in the future because I'm very excited to see what happens. We still don't know what's going to happen with the canceled games if you guys want to know about that. Obviously, we won't be seeing them next week. I love seeing them being played in the Philadelphia homestand or wherever they're going to play them, but we still don't know fully what's happening to those games. Now, my preds for next weekend, the Philadelphia Fusion homestand, we see Florida Mayhem, we see Houston Outlaws, Washington Justice, and Philadelphia Fusion this weekend. A lot of good games we're going to see. We've heard things of Washington Justice that they aren't actually doing that good in scrims recently, so it's gonna kind of come in the factor of my predictions. And I also will do a community post just as usual when it comes to predictions as well. We'll talk about that there. Now let's go on with the Preds. The first match on the day, February 15th, is Florida Mayhem versus the Houston Outlaws. This one's going to be very interesting with the new Florida Mayhem coming with Yaki and Gangnam Jin. Houston Outlaws almost coming in for a whole new team. We've also heard some things of Houston Outlaws that the scrims aren't doing the best for them as well. I honestly want to say it's going to be either a 3-2 for Florida or a 3-2 for Houston. I kind of want to say Houston right now because it's almost a whole new team, unlike Florida where they only have 2 new pickups. And I honestly like the coaching staff a little bit more in the Houston compared to Florida. So I'm going to give the favor a little bit to Houston Outlaws here for 3-2. Then on the Washington Justice versus the Philadelphia Fusion. I think with the new Fusion squad they have in Washington Justice only making a few changes here, and obviously just things in general that we've heard of Justice, I think a 3-1 for Fusion sounds reasonable, especially Fusion just looks dominant right now compared to Justice, but who knows, that could be completely different, could be a 3-2. I'm definitely going to say a 3-1 for the Philadelphia Fusion. Then on to the next match on February 16th, it is going to be the Washington Justice versus the Houston Outlaws, another interesting matchup for sure. I kind of want to say, even though what I've been saying about the Justice and the Houston Outlaws, I kind of want to give the favor in the Justice because I just think my gut's telling me to go with the Justice. Normally it's kind of right all the time when it comes to Overwatch League, so I'm going to say a 3-2 for the Washington Justice squad. Then to the last match on the weekend, it's Florida Mayhem versus the Philadelphia Fusion. I think I'm also maybe going to say a 3-1 here or a 3-2 for the Philadelphia Fusion. Probably a 3-1. Could be, 3-2. Who knows how the team ends up working out. Let's say a 3-2 actually. I'm going to go Philadelphia Fusion 3-2 with the Florida Mayhem. I don't know. Maybe I'm going a little bit too far on this. Maybe the Florida Mayhem is better than Justice. I honestly don't know. I'm throwing things out here. We haven't seen these teams yet. Maybe Philadelphia Fusion's not good at the new team, but I highly doubt that right now. Anyways, guys, that's going to be for me. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to join my Discord down below. Also, don't forget to follow my Twitter and my Twitch. And don't forget to hit that bell. And don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below. And I'll see you guys on the next one.